Fans of this channel should know by now that there are two things I love more than anything when it comes to video games. Mindlessly fanboying due to blind nostalgia, and games so novel that I still have no idea what's going on 100 hours into the experience. In short, this is the reason why I can't get enough of Monster Hunter World. For every old monster, weapon, and muscle memory this game evokes, it introduces brand new mechanics that consistently mix up and surprise me. From my perspective as a longtime Monster Hunter fan, it should come as no surprise that I love nearly everything about this game. However, from a less biased standpoint, there are still a ton of features newcomers to the series can enjoy. First and foremost, I think they've finally brought Monster Hunter into the modern age of combat-based RPGs. You can use items while moving, maps aren't riddled with loading screens, and fully voice-acted cutscenes make this game feel like a AAA title, perfectly tuned for Western audiences. Additionally, I think the tutorial has finally hit a sweet spot in between the old days of figure it out yourself and some of the newer walls of text that just beg you to mash the A button. The first 20 to 30 hours you spend in low rank is of course one big tutorial as well, but the story and fun hunts do an excellent job of masking it. Due to these quality of life upgrades, I can finally say that you don't need to play the game for 10 hours before you know whether or not it's for you. So if you're on the fence, I recommend you take full advantage of Steam's 2-hour refund policy and give it a shot. The second aspect of Monster Hunter World that deserves praise is the sheer detail that went into the environments. Those of you who watched my Dauntless review will probably remember one of my biggest complaints being the painfully barren and lifeless maps. Monster Hunter World does the exact opposite and so much more. At the time of writing this sentence, I have 24 hours logged in the game, and I still couldn't tell you the exact or even rough layout of the game's first map, the Ancient Jungle. This is because it's jam-packed with creatures, resources, and a dense verticality that makes it actually feel like a real jungle. Another truly lifelike feature introduced in Monster Hunter World are monster turf wars. Seeing a Rathian prey on Aptonoths is nothing new, but the first time I watched this mudfish thing strangle a Barroth for more damage than my entire greatsword combo, I lost my shit.
Let's let him fuck around a little bit, you know?
Oh! What?
Holy shit!
Anybody see that?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Like strangling you.
Dude, I was...
Whoa!
Shit.
Whoa!
Holy shit!
What do we do?
I mean, I think we just that was a...
That's 500 damage.
Seriously, seeing this in reviews and trailers does not do it justice. When it happens in-game, it doesn't feel scripted or forced, it's just plain awesome. Aside from the new environments and monsters, it feels like the combat system has somehow gotten even better. Gone are the clunky hunter arts of generations. What we have now is basically a refined version of 4 Ultimate's stellar combat. I've only spent a significant amount of time using the greatsword, but it feels a lot like the best version of the weapon to date. With the addition of a fun new super move, of course. Supporting this solid system is the bread and butter of Monster Hunter's gameplay customization, armor skills. I've always thought this was a fine way of imparting bonuses to hunters who spend the time to grind out and theorycraft mixed sets. However, it was never perfect. Struggling to get that last point of handicraft for sharpness +1, or having a bunch of leftover points doing nothing, always felt annoying at best. Monster Hunter World solves this problem completely by simplifying the system. Now, every single point of a skill you get will gain you a small bonus. Not only does this mean that random points towards speed eating or defense up are no longer wasted, but it's also a lot easier to get a ton of different skills activated on one set. Plus, it feels like this game's balance pass on armor skills brings a lot more of them into a competitive place, which is always a good thing for promoting build diversity. So, to sum up the positives about this game, there really is a lot to love here. The monster, environment, and combat design is a cut above, even when compared to older Monster Hunter titles. I haven't even unlocked my HR yet, and I'm already comfortable saying that this is my favorite Monster Hunter title to date. However, as easy as it would be for me to sit here circle jerking my favorite video game series, I have no desire to present a one-sided review. In fact, for all of the fantastic gameplay innovations it introduces, Monster Hunter World for the PC has a lot of problems. The first and most apparent problems present themselves in party play. Keep in mind, I bought this game intending to play through the gross majority of the story mode with friends, so these problems have been especially irritating to me personally. For example, there is a mind-numbingly dumb feature that doesn't let you join your friend's story quests until after they've seen that quest's cutscene. This means, to do one of those quests as a party, your friend needs to go into the quest, view the cutscene, then use the SOS feature to summon everyone else in. What's even worse is the prospective party members need to have seen the relevant cutscene as well, which means that they will need to have already loaded into and abandoned the quest they want to do together. If you find this confusing, then I can pretty much rest my case. Low rank is absolutely riddled with these cutscene-driven story quests, so progressing through the story with friends is super annoying. Speaking of story, I should also mention that this game has one of the most brain-dead, stupid stories I've ever experienced in an RPG. I know nobody plays Monster Hunter for the story, and maybe it's just the English voice acting, but holy shit.
We did it!
Yes! Nice.
I'm from the First Fleet. You folks are lucky to be alive.
You're okay! I was scared to death.
All right, easy, easy.
No, there's a piece of the puzzle missing.
Also, would it really have killed them to make the handler not look like a piece of plastic? Seriously, I'm pretty sure this is just Sarah Ryder from Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, damn bitch, don't you have a galaxy to save or something? Just let me hunt some monsters in peace, Jesus Christ. The system Monster Hunter World uses to form hunting parties is still overly complicated and unintuitive. Having to search for a 16-person lobby, then post the quest for the hunt you want to do, while also considering the stupid cutscene limitations I just talked about, may have been acceptable on the 3DS and Wii. But it's horribly clunky on PC, especially when compared to the countless number of other online games that have already gotten it right. The last and unfortunately biggest problem with Monster Hunter World is pretty much what we were all afraid of. It's actually a shitty port. There are just too many issues that point to this fact. The most obvious one is the online connectivity. At least once an hour, I'll randomly get kicked out in the middle of a hunt. This has gotten a little better since launch weekend, but it's still not uncommon. While the game is running, I'll periodically lose connection to Steam for a few seconds. This happens every 10 minutes or so, and everyone I've played with has experienced this as well. If you're like me and have a Steam friends list full of people playing this game, expect to be reminded that so-and-so is now playing Monster Hunter World over and over and over again. My tinfoil hat tells me that it has to do with the Denevo Online DRM, but I have zero evidence to back this claim up, so it could honestly be anything. Raw performance is also extremely confusing. My friend who uses a 980 Ti and games at 1080p barely averages over 50 FPS. Most of the time, half the textures on the screen will load at their absolute lowest resolution, making the game look like a potato at seemingly random times. I usually maintain 100 FPS, but when someone in my party is using a lightning weapon and it starts raining, my FPS gets cut in half. I even ran into a game-breaking bug where I couldn't progress through the story without restarting my game multiple times. Upon looking it up, I discovered it was a known bug from months ago, but the PC version never got the fix implemented, which frustrates me to no end. To top it all off, there's no transmog in this game, and the only explanation I can find as to why is because there is a single microtransaction outfit you can buy. So if you want your endgame mix set to not look like ass, you'll have to spend $20 to look exactly like everyone else who runs into this same problem. Of all the things Monster Hunter Generations experimented with, the transmog system absolutely should have been brought over, so it's beyond irritating to me that Capcom instead opted to take 2 steps backwards in this regard. So that about sums up what I have to say about Monster Hunter World for the PC. It deeply saddens me to see this fantastic game is currently sitting at mixed in the Steam store. However, the more I think about it, the more I can't blame the reviewers. To get to this awesome experience, you will more than likely have to dig through several layers of bullshit. If I was a newcomer to the series, or even a less committed veteran, I might not have taken the time to make this game work. Capcom needs to prioritize fixing the servers, the game, or whatever it is that's causing these issues. Until then, my verdict is as follows. If you're interested, buy the game, but take full advantage of the Steam refund system. If you find the buggy online or inconsistent performance to be intolerable, refund it immediately and continue to wait for a patch with the rest of us. I love Monster Hunter, but its first iteration on PC could have been a lot stronger, and the ball is now in Capcom's court to fix the situation before it becomes an all-out disaster.
Thank you!
This is the part of the video where I give a special thanks to Real Human, still holding it down as my only Patreon supporter. You know, I'll get around to making a Patreon video and promoting myself on Facebook or something eventually, so I can hopefully have a couple more, you know, people giving me money, but that's okay, because I got my boy Real Human. Thanks. Support me on Patreon, please. Thank you.